What's up, y'all? I just want to show you a demo of how to get Flagpole JS, which is a new QA automation platform, set up on your project in just a few minutes, probably under a minute. So let's go. So I got this test project that I set up a while ago when I was learning Firebase and Firestore, and so now, but I don't have any tests on it. So if I pull up my terminal window here, you see this terminal window. You see I've got my node modules, and I have the Flagpole already installed, which I installed with npm I Flagpole. Now is how I installed that. But I don't have any tests or anything set up yet. My CLI is set up, so I can run that. But if I do Flagpole list, which should list out my tests, it's going to say did not find any tests. So what we need to do first, we need to initialize Flagpole for this project, since I haven't done that yet. So I'm going to say Flagpole init, and it's going to ask me for a name to the project, which is already populated with the name code drop from the folder. And where do I want to put my tests? Well, I want to put them in that test folder. And then it says pick your environment. So we want to just set up a dev and a prod environment. And so now it did create that the project file for me, but I still don't have any tests. So what I need to do is I need to create my first test suite. So you have test suites which contain scenarios within them. So the suite that we're going to set up is just a simple smoke test. So we're going to type in we're going to type in Flagpole add suite, and it's going to ask us for a name, which we're going to say smoke, basic smoke test of site. We're just going to check that the home page loads as our first scenario. We can choose HTML or REST API. We're just going to test the HTML page. So now we put in our domains. So the first one it asked me for is the base domain for dev, which in my case is localhost 5000. And then we need our prod one, which my prod one looks something like that. So I will paste that in there. So now we're configured for that, and then my first test that I'm going to do is just testing that the index.html page loads okay. And so now it's set up that for us. I'm going to go ahead and set up another scenario for that same suite. So we have a suite with one scenario, but I'm going to set up a second scenario. So I'm going to type in Flagpole add scenario, and it says what suite do you want to add it to. Well, at this point I only have one suite, so I want to add to the smoke. Another HTML test. We're going to test that new code drop page loads, and then we're going to type in new.html, and now we're going to have two suites. So if I type in Flagpole list now, we see the one test suite that I set up, which is smoke test, and if I do Flagpole run, it's going to run, and you see that one suite ran with our two different scenarios. And notice that by default it was set to the dev environment, and so it ran against my local host. If I wanted to run that same test, but I wanted to run it against the production environment, I could do my e argument in prod, and that should run against my other domain, and there we go, it returned. So obviously this isn't incredibly useful, although it does test to make sure that you're at least these pages are coming up and loading with 200s. But we can go in, and now we can actually find that code, and we can add more meaningful tests. But just so simple to get you going. I hope you enjoy this, and hope you start using Flagpole soon.